When we talk about changing our lives, in just 2 months, the journey does not begin with routines, strategies, or even discipline. It begins with something far more personal, far deeper, and far more difficult to confront. Awareness of self. Many of us walk through life wearing masks, carrying labels given to us by society, by family, or by our own fears. We spend years trying to fit into frames that were never carved for us. And yet, in the rush to become what everyone expects, we often forget to pause and ask ourselves the most important question. Who am I, really? That question, though simple, has the power to shake our world because it demands honesty, vulnerability, and courage. And it is only by facing it that transformation, even in 2 months, becomes possible. Awareness is the seed from which all change grows. If you plant the wrong seed, you will wait forever for the wrong tree to bear fruit. The same goes for life. If you don't know what truly matters to you, you will keep chasing shadows, confusing movement for progress. That is why many people spend years chasing success yet feel empty, because they never stopped to align their steps with their soul. But when you pause and listen to yourself, when you take off the layers of fear and silence the noise around you, clarity begins to emerge. And with clarity comes direction. In 2 months, this direction can take you farther than 2 years of blind striving ever could. Becoming aware of yourself does not mean finding a flawless version of you. It means embracing the truth of where you are right now, the strengths you celebrate, the wounds you hide, the mistakes that haunt you, and the dreams you whisper only when no one is listening. Awareness is not about perfection, it is about acceptance. Because when you accept yourself as you are, you no longer fight against your truth. Instead, you begin to build upon it. In just 60 days, that shift from denial to acceptance can completely alter the trajectory of your life. Think about it. How many times do we run after things we don't even want, simply because someone told us we should? A career, a relationship, an image of success. All these can become cages if they don't reflect who we are inside. But when you become aware, you start breaking those cages one by one. You realize that your time is limited, that your energy is precious, and that you cannot afford to live a life that doesn't belong to you. That realization alone can awaken a fire so powerful that 2 months is more than enough to redirect your life's compass. Awareness also demands honesty about our fears. Many of us are not lazy, we are afraid. Afraid of failing, of being judged, of not being enough. And because of that fear, we stay stuck. But the moment you acknowledge your fear, instead of pretending it doesn't exist, you rob it of its power. You no longer let fear drive the car, you let it sit in the back seat while you take control of the wheel. Imagine 60 days of living with that courage. How differently would you speak, walk, and choose? The beauty of awareness is that it transforms the ordinary into extraordinary. A simple walk becomes a meditation when you are aware of the thoughts crossing your mind. A conversation becomes healing when you are aware of the emotions behind your words. Even failure becomes a teacher when you are aware of the lesson hidden within it. In 2 months of practicing this awareness, you will find yourself not just living, but truly experiencing life in its depth. And that shift is life-changing. So, if you want to transform in 2 months, don't start with the outer world. Start with the inner one. Sit with yourself. Ask the uncomfortable questions and embrace the answers no matter how raw they are. Because once you know who you are and what you stand for, the rest of the journey becomes easier. 2 months is long enough to build the courage, clarity, and confidence that only self-awareness can give. And once that foundation is set, every other change you dream of, whether in health, career, or relationships, will flow naturally. Transformation does not begin with doing, it begins with knowing. And the most powerful thing you can ever know is yourself. When you finally become aware of who you are and what you want, the next step toward transformation is often the hardest one. Taking action. But here's the truth: action does not mean giant leaps. It does not mean overturning your entire life in one day. Real change happens through small, consistent steps that may seem insignificant in the moment, but compound into something extraordinary over time. If you give yourself 2 months of small, intentional actions, you will not recognize yourself at the end of that journey. The problem is, most of us wait for the perfect moment to begin. We believe that change must come with a dramatic gesture, a new job, a complete lifestyle overhaul, or an intense routine that demands more than we can give. But the reality is, perfection paralyzes us. We wait, we plan, we hesitate, and in doing so, we waste precious time. The beauty of small steps is that they are achievable. They don't require a perfect environment, they only require willingness. And that willingness, when nurtured daily, can transform an entire life. Think about it this way: if you walk just 1 step every day, you may not notice much difference by tomorrow. But if you keep walking for 60 days, you will have traveled a path longer than you imagined. The same principle applies to habits, growth, and healing. You don't need to change the whole picture instantly. You just need to adjust 1 brushstroke at a time, and soon the painting of your life will look entirely new. In 2 months, those brushstrokes can create a masterpiece. Many people underestimate the power of consistency. They do something once, don't see instant results, and declare that it doesn't work. But transformation doesn't shout, it whispers. It is built in the quiet moments when you choose to do what you said you would, even when no one is watching. For example, choosing to read 10 pages a day may not seem life-changing. But in 60 days, you will have finished 2 books, absorbed new wisdom, and planted seeds of thought that may guide your future decisions. Writing a few lines every night may feel trivial, but in 2 months, you will have written 60 reflections, each one teaching you more about yourself. These small steps, though humble, create shifts too powerful to ignore. Small steps also protect you from overwhelm. When we set massive goals, we often burn out before we even begin. But when we break them into small, manageable actions, we make the journey kinder and more sustainable. 2 months of gentle but consistent progress will always beat 2 weeks of intense effort, followed by giving up. The goal is not to impress anyone with how fast you can start, but to surprise yourself with how far you can go by not stopping. What matters most is not the size of your action, but its direction. A single step taken in the right direction is worth more than 100 steps taken aimlessly. And this is where awareness from the first stage becomes powerful. When you know yourself, you know what direction to take. Then, even the smallest movement carries meaning. In 60 days, those small, meaningful steps can lead you to places you once thought were unreachable. The beauty of this journey is that small steps also build self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how tiny, you are telling yourself, I can rely on me. And when you learn to rely on yourself, confidence grows. When confidence grows, possibilities expand. 2 months of self-trust built through small steps can break years of self-doubt. That is the silent magic of consistency. It not only changes what you do, it changes who you believe you are. So do not underestimate the power of starting small. Do not dismiss the quiet victories that come from showing up each day. In 2 months, small steps will not just change your habits. They will change your mindset, your perspective, and your life. And that is how transformation happens. Not through one massive leap, but through the courage to keep moving forward, one small step at a time. No matter how aware you become of yourself, and no matter how many small steps you take daily, the truth is, the journey will test you. There will be days when you feel unstoppable and days when you wonder why you even began. There will be mornings when motivation runs high and nights when doubt whispers louder than your dreams. This is where resilience becomes the most important companion on your path. Because transformation in 2 months is not about walking a flawless road. It is about rising each time you stumble and learning to continue even when perfection feels impossible. Perfection is often the reason many people quit too soon. We imagine that to change our lives, we must never fail, never miss a day, never make mistakes. But the reality is, mistakes are part of the process. Missing a day does not mean you failed. Falling down does not mean the journey is over. It only means you are human. And resilience is the choice to stand up, dust yourself off, and try again tomorrow. In 60 days, you will not remember the 1 or 2 days you fell short. You will remember the strength you built by refusing to give up. Resilience is also about how you speak to yourself when things don't go as planned. Many of us are harshest with ourselves. We criticize, we punish, we convince ourselves we are not good enough. But transformation requires compassion as much as discipline. If you cannot be kind to yourself, the journey becomes a battlefield instead of a path of growth. Resilience whispers, yes, you made a mistake, but you are still worthy of trying again. That voice alone can carry you through the toughest 60 days of your life. It is important to understand that resilience is not born from comfort. It is forged in challenges. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, your inner strength grows when you face setbacks and still choose to continue. In 2 months, Every obstacle you encounter will become an opportunity to build resilience, to toughen your spirit, and to remind yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. By the end of that time, you will look back and realize that the difficulties which once seemed unbearable were actually the stepping stones that carried you forward. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall countless times, yet they never stop trying. Not once do they think, maybe walking isn't for me. They simply get up again and again, until walking becomes second nature. Why should our journey as adults be any different? We fall, we stumble, we doubt. But resilience is the childlike faith that if we keep standing up, eventually we will walk with confidence. 2 months of practicing this faith can turn fragility into unshakable strength. Resilience also teaches us to detach from the illusion of speed. You don't need to race. You don't need to reach your goal faster than anyone else. All you need is to keep moving forward, no matter how slowly. Progress, no matter how small, is still progress. Resilience reminds you that slow steps forward are always better than standing still. In 60 days, even the slowest progress compounds into transformation if you simply keep going. At its core, resilience is hope in action. It is the refusal to let today's failure define tomorrow's possibility. It is the courage to look at a broken moment and still see the chance for healing. It is the decision to keep watering your seeds, even when you don't yet see the flowers. With resilience, you discover that perfection was never the goal, growth was. And in just 2 months, resilience can turn doubt into confidence, setbacks into lessons, and struggles into stories of victory. So, as you walk this journey of transformation, do not aim to be perfect. Aim to be resilient. Because life will test you, and motivation will fade, but resilience will carry you through. And when you emerge from these 60 days, you will realize that the true victory was not in never falling, but in never staying down. As you become aware of yourself, take small steps, and build resilience, there comes another force that makes the journey lighter and more meaningful. Gratitude. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It is about choosing to see life through a lens that transforms pain into lessons, setbacks into stepping stones, and even the smallest joys into treasures. Without gratitude, change feels heavy, like a burden you carry. With gratitude, the same change becomes a privilege, a gift you offer yourself. And in just 2 months, practicing gratitude daily can rewire your heart and mind in ways you never imagined. Often, when people begin their journey of transformation, they focus only on what they lack, what they haven't achieved, what they failed to do, or how far behind they are compared to others. That focus creates frustration and steals the energy needed to move forward. But gratitude shifts the perspective. Instead of obsessing over what is missing, it reminds you of what is already here, what you still have, and what you can build upon. It's not about ignoring your struggles, but about balancing them with appreciation. That balance gives you strength to keep going. Think about it. If every night for the next 60 days, you chose to write down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small, your entire perspective would begin to shift. You would start noticing beauty in ordinary moments. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the comfort of a friend's voice, the lesson hidden in a mistake. Gratitude does not change your circumstances overnight, but it changes how you experience them. And when your experience changes, your energy and motivation naturally rise. Gratitude is also a healer. Life can leave scars, disappointments, and broken dreams, but gratitude has the power to soften those wounds. When you begin to look back at painful experiences with grateful eyes, you start seeing how they shaped you, how they taught you resilience, how they guided you toward growth. Suddenly, your pain is no longer just pain. It becomes power. In 2 months of consistent gratitude, you can transform memories that once held you back into reminders of your own strength. Another beauty of gratitude is that it humbles you. It reminds you that you are not alone in this journey, that there are people, opportunities, and even challenges that have contributed to your growth. It teaches you to value relationships, to recognize kindness, and to cherish the support that surrounds you. This humility keeps you grounded, reminding you that transformation is not just about what you achieve, but about how deeply you live. And gratitude creates joy. Joy is not found in perfection or in reaching the finish line. It is found in the small steps, the quiet victories, the lessons learned along the way. When you are grateful, you begin to celebrate progress instead of only waiting for results. You see beauty in the process itself. And when joy becomes part of the journey, sustaining discipline and resilience becomes much easier. In 2 months, gratitude can shift the way you see the world so profoundly that even challenges begin to feel purposeful. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift in perspective makes every step forward lighter, every day more meaningful, and every obstacle more manageable. So if you truly want life to change in 60 days, make gratitude your daily practice. Let it be the fuel that powers your awareness, your small steps, and your resilience. Because gratitude doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes you. And once you are changed from within, the world outside begins to transform as well. Awareness gives you clarity, small steps give you momentum, resilience helps you endure, and gratitude fuels your heart. But even with all these, there is something that determines whether your transformation will truly last or fade away when motivation weakens. And that is discipline. Motivation is beautiful. It gives us the spark to begin, but sparks die out if they are not fed. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps the fire alive, even on the days when you don't feel like moving forward. If you give yourself 60 disciplined days, you will meet a version of yourself you never believed you could become. Discipline is not punishment, though many people confuse it as such. It is not about depriving yourself of joy or forcing yourself into rigid routines you resent. True discipline is an act of self-respect. It is choosing every day to prioritize what matters most, even when distractions whisper and temptations surround you. It is telling yourself, "I am worth the effort." My future is worth the consistency. That decision, repeated daily for 2 months, has the power to turn dreams into habits and habits into a new lifestyle. When you look at anyone who has achieved lasting change, the common thread is never just talent or opportunity. It is discipline. Talent can spark, opportunities can open doors, but only discipline allows you to walk through those doors and stay the course when things get hard. And things will get hard. There will be days when your body is tired, your mind is heavy, and your heart feels unmotivated. On those days, discipline becomes the voice that reminds you why you started, the steady hand that pulls you out of excuses and places you back on the path. Discipline is also a builder of freedom. At first, it feels restrictive, waking up early, following a routine, keeping promises to yourself. But in truth, it is the opposite. When you are disciplined, you free yourself from the chaos of procrastination, from the guilt of broken promises, from the weight of inconsistency. In 2 months, discipline can shift your life from reactive to intentional, from scattered to focused. That freedom is the true reward, far greater than any temporary comfort you give up along the way. The beauty of discipline is that it multiplies itself. The more you practice it in one area, the more it spills into others. For example, 2 months of disciplined exercise not only strengthens your body, it teaches you patience and persistence. 2 months of disciplined study not only sharpens your mind, it nurtures focus and consistency. Discipline in one place strengthens the muscle of discipline everywhere. Before long, you start to carry yourself differently, make decisions differently, and live differently. But discipline is not about never missing a step. It is about returning quickly when you do. Perfection is not the goal, consistency is. You may stumble, you may take a break, but discipline calls you back and says, continue. Money, continue. 2 months of answering that call is enough to create new habits, so deeply rooted that they carry you forward even beyond the 60 days. It's important to remember that discipline is not built in a single grand gesture. It is built in the daily choices that seem ordinary, but carry extraordinary impact. Waking up on time, showing up to your commitments, keeping your word to yourself. These choices form the invisible architecture of transformation. And when practiced for 2 months, they become so natural that they no longer feel like effort, but simply who you are. So if you truly want a life-changing transformation, do not wait for motivation to carry you. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline endures. Give yourself 60 days of discipline, and you will not only change your habits, you will change your identity. You will no longer be someone who tries, but someone who becomes. And that, more than anything else, is what makes transformation permanent. Awareness gives you direction. Small steps give you progress. Resilience teaches you to endure. Gratitude fills your heart, and discipline shapes your path. But even with all of this, there is one final ingredient without which transformation cannot truly bloom. Faith in possibility. Faith is the invisible force that tells you change is worth it, that you are capable, and that life can offer you more than what you see today. Without faith, the journey feels mechanical and empty. With faith, every effort becomes alive with purpose. 2 months of living with faith in yourself and in life's possibilities can unlock doors you never even knew existed. Faith is not about knowing how everything will unfold. It is about trusting that your steps, no matter how small, are leading you somewhere meaningful. Many people hold themselves back because they demand certainty. They want to see the full map before they begin walking. But transformation doesn't work like that. You are not meant to know the entire story. You are meant to take the first step with belief that the rest of the path will reveal itself as you move forward. Faith is what allows you to walk into the unknown with courage. Often, doubt is louder than faith. Doubt tells you, you're not strong enough. You don't have what it takes. 60 days isn't enough. But faith whispers, try, trust, begin. And if you choose to listen to that whisper, you will find that 2 months is not just enough. It is powerful, beyond measure. Faith makes you see possibility where others see limits, opportunity where others see obstacles, and potential where others see failure. It shifts your mindset from asking, "What if I can't?" to declaring, "What if I can?" That single shift changes everything. Faith also means believing in yourself when no one else does. There will be people who doubt your journey, who dismiss your efforts, who tell you that change in 2 months is impossible. But their disbelief does not define you unless you let it. Faith teaches you to hold your own vision, even when others cannot see it. It teaches you to trust your inner compass more than outside noise. When you carry that kind of faith, 2 months of effort become unstoppable because you are no longer seeking validation. You are moving from conviction. Faith is not only about looking forward, it is also about looking within. It is believing that no matter how many times you failed before, you are still worthy of another chance. It is believing that the mistakes of your past do not dictate the possibilities of your future. It is believing that even in your most broken moments, there is still light inside you waiting to rise. With that kind of faith, 2 months is not a limitation. It is a beginning, a spark that can ignite a lifetime of transformation. And faith does something remarkable. It brings peace. While discipline pushes you, resilience toughens you, and gratitude softens you, faith steadies you. It reminds you that you don't need to have all the answers today. You only need to believe that every effort you make is adding up to something bigger. That peace allows you to move forward without being crushed by anxiety or fear. In 60 days, that peace can become the anchor that keeps you grounded no matter how turbulent life becomes. So if you truly wish to change your life in 2 months, carry faith with you. Believe that you are capable of more than you think. Believe that even the smallest steps matter. Believe that resilience, gratitude, and discipline are not in vain. And most importantly, believe that your life can be transformed. Not someday, not in the distant future, but here, now, in these very 60 days. Faith is the key that unlocks possibility, and once you begin to believe, transformation becomes not just a dream, but your living reality.